Welcome to episode 29 of How About Them Huskies. I'm Connor, joined with Matt, Andrew, and Matt. And today we're going to recap the St. John's game this past weekend and do a little quick preview of the game today when you're seeing this against DePaul. So first off with that St. John's game, UConn went into MSG Storrs South, as they call it, won 95-86. The offense was phenomenal. They had four guys in double figures and three others with at least 8 points. It was a complete team effort. I've said that a lot this season, a lot of team efforts for UConn. Jordan Hawkins led the way with 20. Sonogo had 18. And Jackson, who entered the game time decision because he had flu-like symptoms or an illness, and he tied his career high with 15 points in 38 minutes. And the bench was huge too. You have guys like Joey, 15 points, that ties his UConn high. Aline, 8 points, finally reached that 1,000 point club, which we all were counting down every episode. And Klingon, 9.6 boards, 5 blocks off the bench. So, like I said, complete team effort in this one over St. John's, and what was pretty much a home game at Madison Square Garden with all the Huskies fans.
And I think the thing that pops out when you look at this game is that we scored 95 points, which is a lot of points in the Big East, especially against a team like St. John's. You don't really see that too often. And you're thinking, where do we get all those points from? A lot of production from a lot of guys. And we're going into March here, and we had, what's this, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys in 15 plus. Everyone who played scored. You had Calcaterra with 15. You had Aline with 8. It's just a bunch of guys who don't even regularly play. And we got, 1, 2 games left in the season, and they're putting up big numbers. So, yeah, it was definitely good to see that.
Well, these games where we score over 90, the defense wasn't great. We gave up 86. I think we scored like 90 something against DePaul and gave up a lot. So, in these games, our defense isn't great. But I don't know if you guys follow my funny, we'll call it, Twitter feed, but I posted the corporate needs to like see the difference between these images. And it was Jordan Hawkins and the lottery pick. He had another 20 bomb. He is becoming a lottery pick. Like, he is proving to the entire world, all the NBA GMs, that he's going to be a lottery pick. And that's honestly cool to see, because we all know what happened with James Bouknight, a 2-year talent who was picked 11 by the Hornets. And, he just hasn't really gotten what we thought he was going to be in the NBA. And I really hope that Hawkins can blossom into a really good player. I think he absolutely can. But really, in the beginning of the season, he was looked at as a second-round pick. And after another 20 bomb, I think that he's got being a lottery pick in the bag for sure.
Yeah, and it's starting to become a bit of a trend here. I've noticed, we're starting to put up a lot of points in bunches. It all started back against Butler, honestly. 86 points we put up. We put up 82 on Xavier, 90 on DePaul. We only got 68 on Georgetown, but that was a W. And then 87 on Marquette. 2 games later, 87 on Providence, 95 on St. John's. And this offense is clicking at the right time. We've had consistent production throughout the season from guys like Hawkins, from guys like Sonogo. But we were really concerned about when these bench points were going to start coming in. And they're starting to come in. And I really want to give credit to 2 people, Danny Hurley and Andre Jackson, for figuring this thing out, because on that losing streak, it was almost as if he was unplayable at points, where he was coming in and they isolated him perfectly. They took him out of the game, and it was essentially a 4-on-5 on offense, because they would leave him open at 3 and just collapse him in the paint, and then we would have no idea what to do. Since we've kind of solved that issue, we've been putting beatings on everybody, and I feel like the way we're playing Andre Jackson is a big part of that. He's put up his career high twice now in the past 2 or 3 weeks. He's been all over the place. He's moving the ball. He's guarding their best offensive player. Everything he's doing is kind of pushing this team to the next level, per se. Everything that he's doing, we're beating, ranked teams now. We beat Marquette. We beat St. John's, who we lost to last time. We beat Providence. We lost to Xavier by 3 points in a game that, honestly, some believe we should have won. I feel like a lot of that is in part to his game transcending into that next level, per se. And, everybody else staying consistent, guys like Hawkins, guys like Sonogo and such.
Yeah, and the offensive firepower on this team is top tier in terms of like the entire country. There's so many guys on this team who could give you 10 plus off our bench. And then it seems like almost every one of our starters could give you 20 plus besides Andre Jackson. But if he's able to give you anything over 10 a game, and with the rest of the guys out there, the offense is really good. And with the offense, it's been great. And sometimes you worry about the defense, but we've won a lot more games than we've lost this year. The offense has just been pretty spectacular. And sometimes they kind of fell off a cliff at one point, but they're just really rolling again, really getting momentum again. Things are clicking.
And I said this last game too. With Naheem Aline, when he's putting up points, they're sort of like bonus points. It's not in any kind of condescending way. It's just you don't normally get production from these guys. So when you do, that's just a fantastic boost to the team. When you have guys who Jackson's averaging around 6 and Aline, I assume, around 5 or 6. And, when they're putting up 10, 15 points, who's going to stop you? You got to start committing on those guys. It opens up space for guys like Joey, who had a great game against St. John's. And I think we're going to see more of that coming up, as, it seemed like Hurley had a little bit in mind for him. He had him out there early. He had him out there getting shots up early. So I'm excited to see what he does going forward.
Yeah, we're talking about all this offensive consistency. I noticed a trend with Jordan Hawkins. It's the definition of consistent. In our past 4 wins, he scored exactly 20 points every single time, which is kind of quirky, kind of crazy, whatever you want to look at it. But also, back to the offense, there's this saying everyone knows, defense wins championships, and it does. It definitely helps to have a good defense. But if your offense isn't there, like you look at our last loss at Creighton a couple of weeks ago, we allowed a very solid offensive team in the Blue Jays to 56 points in their own building and still lost. So if you don't have that offense, you're not going to win many games. Like we have low scoring losses. Like at Seton Hall, we only put up 66, which is below our average. And at Xavier, we put up 73, which is right around the average. At Providence, 61. So I feel like 80 points is that threshold that we should be okay. We don't believe we've lost a game this year. Scoring 80, pretty close to that home game versus Xavier. But yeah, offense, if it's clicking, look out, because we saw it at MSG this weekend. It is really impressive. And also, we've been pretty lucky, I'd say, with injuries this year. Not too many major ones. Obviously, at the beginning, against like Delaware State, we didn't have a couple guys or whatever. But Hassan Diarra missed this game with what is called an abdominal strain, according to the reporters. And I just saw he is a game time decision versus DePaul. But the thing is, I'm not saying that he would bring the team down. He obviously doesn't. He's a great player, great defender. But in place of his 10, 12 minutes, we got more from Joey, more from Aline, and we got the offense from them. So I feel like if we had a guy like Diarra play against St. John's, I feel like the Johnnies, they'd score maybe 6 or 7 less points because of Diarra's defense. But losing some minutes from Joey or Aline would take away 6 or 7 points from us. So it'd pretty much be the same score, just a little less for each team. So I feel like he wasn't missed as much as people are saying he was, but he's definitely a key piece down the stretch.
And different guys give you different things. Obviously Joey is not the defender that Hassan Diarra is. Aline isn't the defender that Hassan Diarra is, but there's some games, if both of those guys have it going, you might want to play them just because of the offensive boost they'll give you instead of Diarra. It's definitely interesting how you manage those bench guards. But I think Hassan definitely has earned his role on this team.
And this game last weekend was also the first time some of our guys have played at MSG, Newton, Calcaterra. And I think Joey California, you can call this a hot take. I don't think it is. He's going to have some huge moments, huge shots in the Big East tournament. He's built for the big stage. There's going to be a lot of Huskies fans in attendance. I feel like he's due to have maybe replicate the performance he had against St. John's. He has that swag to him, a guy that could just knock down a transition 3. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's putting up 10 points per game, honestly, if he gets the run.
Well, we got hot at the right time. I mean, I'll use the Dave Borges quote, how November, December, we ended that slate 15-1 with that one loss being to Xavier. And then January, we went 3-5. February, we went 5-1. So really we're getting hot at the right time. I mean, we could finish the season 7-1, maybe 6-2 if Villanova really comes to play on Saturday. But we've really gotten hot at the right time. Especially winning a game like that in MSG. You know, I'll be in the building. I can't wait. I know Connor will too. I don't know about Sark and Matt, but I can't wait. And I have to agree that Joey's going to have some big moments because he seems like a guy who comes up big in big games. So I can't wait for this Big East tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, people forget, these are college kids and we hold them to a very, very high standard. These things happen. Teams go through slumps, teams go through hardship. Our first guest, the first time we had a guest, Tyler Polly was talking about it. It wasn't really more of an if, more of like a when. Some things would tend to go start to go south. And it was all about how they reacted to it. What makes good teams is how you get back up. Everybody gets knocked down. How you get back up is really what people judge you for. People don't judge you for the downfall. People judge you for the rise back up. And this team is showing us things that we haven't seen from a UConn team, I feel like, in a very long time. Because, we were on the bottom for a little bit. After 2016, things just kind of took a turn for the worse. And then we've been working our way back ever since. Hired Hurley, moved back to the Big East. We've been ranked the past few seasons, but I don't think we had that mid-season crunch yet where the standards were so high and we were letting people down. It was bound to happen at some point, and I think this is it. And I think this is the momentum building run that UConn winners tend to have, winning UConn teams tend to have. If you look back, 2011 was a similar situation where we started hot and then fell off. We weren't ranked in that preseason poll. We came out hot and then kind of fell off. We went through a midseason slump and then we went all the way through March undefeated. What was it? 13 games in a row we won. This team gives me flashes of that, just simply because they haven't quit. They've shown that passion and they've shown that energy all the way through the losing streaks. And now that we're winning, it's coming out even more because it's like they've worked so hard for this. Hurley has coached the hell out of these guys, and they seem prepared. One of my biggest things with UConn teams in the past, and one of my biggest knocks on Hurley was that they never seemed prepared going into big games. We had that one win against Nova last year, and then we came out in March and lost to them in the Big East tournament, and then we lost in the first round. Similar thing happened the year before. We lose in the first round of the tournament. We don't win the Big East. It's been a trend, but it seems as if now these guys are being built up differently to where they're going to win games. We're not going to lose to a 13 seed, a 12 seed. We're not going to lose to those kinds of teams. So I'm really excited to see how we get rolling and just how strong we come out in the first round.
Yeah, Matt. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking of something very similar. When you think of 2011, that's a team that in some degrees underperformed in the regular season and just clicked and locked in at the right time, peaked at the right time, and went into March and did something special. When you think about 2014, that's a team that went through a lot of adversity with the postseason ban the year before, and who also didn't really have the best regular season, didn't win their conference championship. And I'm just getting very similar vibes to this team, a team with a lot of stars, a lot of standout guys, a couple guys who are going to be pro ball players. And they went through their adversity and they're really peaking at the right time and coming together. So I'm not saying that they're going to go out and win the national championship. I'd never say that. But all I'm saying about this is it's starting to feel like kind of a special group of guys they got.
Yeah, with the 2011 team, there truly are a lot of comparisons you can make. Like I have their game log up here now. They did not lose to a single non-conference opponent all year, start in the preseason or in the NCAA tournament. And if we win it all, we'd be the same. They struggled in conference play. They were 9-9 in Big East play, which we wouldn't be that low this year, but we also struggled in conference play in a very, very talented Big East in 2011. And obviously they have a guy like Kemba. I'm not saying Jordan Hawkins is at that level, but he's a guy that can take over a game scoring in a similar way and put up similar numbers. I just feel like there's a lot of comparisons to this team. Obviously, I mean, it's evident to me. It's a little weird actually how we're so similar. But we move on here, and I want to make one more point, and then we'll officially go to the DePaul preview. We started the season, as we all know, 14-0 on a 14-game win streak. And we are currently, as of right now, on a 3-game win streak, 2 more games in the regular season. And then if you win the Big East tournament, that's 3. Win it all, that's 6. So if we were to win the Big East tournament and the NCAA tournament, which is a lot of ifs, a lot of what would happen, we would start and end the season on a 14-game win streak, also assuming we win against DePaul and Villanova, which isn't a given. But just imagine that, starting and ending your season with 14-game win streaks. I mean, that's obviously there's teams that go undefeated, but like that's something that'd be very, very surprising to me, and something I definitely didn't see from this group going into the season in October. But that's all hypothetical, and if it happens, awesome, but it most likely will not. And now we'll move on to the DePaul preview. It should be a pretty quick preview. Not much to say. DePaul has their 3. They've only won a few games in conference play. I mean, they haven't won on the road in conference play. Last time, I think Andrew mentioned, we scored a lot, but also allowed a lot. 90-76 final. That was the game Jordan Hawkins, Adama Sanogo, Tristan Newton combined for like 70 points as a group. And there wasn't too much from the rest, which you've seen. But that's back when Andre Jackson wasn't who he is. That's when Naheem Aline wasn't who he is now, and Calcaterra barely played in that one. He will play more this time around at XL Center, last home game of the year. I feel like UConn will definitely win this one, and it'll be comfortable.
Yeah, this is our last home game. Obviously, Providence was the last one at Gamble, but this is the last one at XL, and Danny Hurley is calling for everybody to be there. You know, it is DePaul. I mean, their story this year, somehow they beat Xavier and lost to Georgetown. They beat a number 2 seed and lost to Georgetown, who's at the very bottom. Don't ask me why, but you know they've had a weird season. They don't really have any star players, so this with the UConn atmosphere, I feel like this will be pretty easy. But I mean, clearly last time we thought it was going to be easy, and they put up I think over 80 points, right? Maybe 75, somewhere in that area.
76.
76, yeah. So they put up a lot of points, but they were competitive with us all night. So we can't take games like this lightly. And honestly, if we have to pummel them. I mean, we need to get as many wins as possible going into this tournament, and we can't really take any games for granted. But I do think the Huskies will have this one pretty easily.
You know, prior to popular belief, this is not our last home game. I don't think they should treat it like it is because, you know, we got a whole tournament at Storrs South coming up, which, you know, we also got to treat like, you know, a lot of people are coming to root for us because that's how it's going to be. They shouldn't make any emotional attachment to this game, you know, being the last home game and whatnot. I don't think they will. I have a feeling that Hurley is telling them very similar things. We're going to see a lot of UConn fans at Gamble or at MSG, especially depending on who we play. You know, obviously, if we get a team from farther south, farther west, we're going to be packing the building. And I mean, UConn fans make it a point to get to MSG. Everyone wants to see them play there. So I got a feeling that Hurley is kind of just like, you know, this is any other game for us. Don't get emotionally attached just because it's the last home game, which I know some teams tend to do. But yeah, I have a feeling we come out and we make pretty easy work of this one.
Yeah, last episode we talked about scenarios who we might play. It's looking like more and more likely that we'll be playing Creighton in that first game, a team that we beat this year. We also lost to them in a close one. There's still a chance it could be Providence or Xavier, but that's very slim because, well, the Providence Xavier, they play today when you're watching this. So the loser of that, there's a chance we could play the winner, all but guarantees the 2 seed. But it'll be very interesting, especially if we play Creighton, like you said, a team from further west, Big East and Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, there's not going to be too many Creighton fans there, I'd imagine, especially compared to the UConn fans who at MSG, I was there on Saturday. I would say it was 70-30, and that may be generous for St. John's fans to say it was 30% them. There was a lot of Huskies. And I don't know if this is true, it was a rumor on Twitter. I saw that next year's game will be at Carnesca Arena on campus for St. John's, which I don't know. That doesn't make too much sense from a revenue standpoint for them as they sold like 12,000 tickets or something like that. when their on-campus arena holds like 5,000. But I guess if you want your fans in the stands, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But I don't think that's true. I just saw it on Twitter. I don't know if there's facts behind it, but I'd be shocked if that was the case.
Those St. John's fans are so pissed that it was 70-30 because, I mean, UConn fans own the building. I could hear the UConn chant through my phone as I was driving to Bradley Airport in Hartford. It's really cool to see that UConn fans pack an arena like that. And honestly, the St. John's fans deserve to be mad because their fans just didn't show out. But having it at the on campus one would be so stupid because, like Connor mentioned, like sure you can have more St. John's fans there, but I mean we're clearly the better team. Like that loss that we had at XL doesn't define either of those teams. I mean, somebody had a good day and somebody had a bad day. But if there's a 7-game series, I mean, I'm taking UConn with the 4-0 sweep personally. But like it with the revenue thing, it wouldn't make sense because they would. I feel like they would lose money because I don't even know if St. John's could fill up that arena. But that's a whole different discussion. But that'd just be stupid and not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, at MSG, I was at both the Providence St. John's game and the UConn St. John's game. The Providence one was sold out in a sense that they didn't open the upper deck. It was just the lower bowl that was open. UConn was pretty close to sold out, and they had the upper deck open. So really, it'd be a really bad decision for them if they were to do so. And also part of it, you said they're pissed off. It's because they're not having a great year. They started like 11, not 11-0, 10-1. I'm pretty sure non-conference play, and they're like eighth, ninth in Big East. So not too many good things going on in Queens. But this is the DePaul preview part of the podcast. We're gonna get back to that real quick. And one of you guys mentioned they beat Xavier. That was on January 18th. That was their last win. They've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, like 11, 12 in a row. So this would be a brutal loss if UConn loses. I don't think they will. And I think we'll just jump right ahead to players to watch, and that'll pretty much be it. Like I said, not too much to say. And I will go with Alex Caravan for my player to watch for DePaul. I mean, he didn't have a great game last time we played the Blue Demons. He also didn't have a great game against St. John's. He didn't play too much because of the resurgence of guys like Joey and Aline. But I'd say Caravan is my player to watch. I think he'll hit a couple of threes. He's kind of been slumping on that recently, but I think Caravan definitely will have a huge bounce back.
Yeah, and give me Andre Jackson. He's been playing the best basketball of his season, arguably, the last couple games, and I just really want to see him continue that trend.
I'm going to do an unpopular thing here. I'm going to take the same person as Sark. I'm going to go with Andre Jackson, too. Mainly just because for me, it looks like he's turning that corner from a guy that, didn't produce much on the stat sheet, was more of an off the stat sheet player, more of a hustle guy. To me, he's kind of turning that corner to where he's starting to become a definite force on the court. It seems like they really know what they're doing now. Him and Hurley seem to have made a game plan to work everything out. I think he breaks his career high. That's my bold take for this one. I think Andre Jackson is his first 20-point game in a UConn jersey.
Give me Joey Cali. I mean, he's back on track. Sat against Seton Hall and then had his senior night, little thing, hit a corner three in garbage time when we absolutely rolled Providence. I'm just going to remind everybody of that.